This is the Cascade Charter Township Planning Commission for Monday of October 21st, 2024. I'd like to record the attendance that all 7 members of the Planning Commission are present. That's great. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. I have a motion to approve the current agenda.
So moved.
Moved
Support.
and supported. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, it's approved 7-0. Article 4, is there any conflict of interest on the issues that'll come before us tonight? Article 5, we need to approve the minutes of the October 7th, 2024 meeting. And I'd just like to thank Vice Chair Rissy for filling in for me in my absence from that meeting.
No problem.
We missed you greatly,
Yes. Yeah.
Mr. Chair.
I did a really
He did
poor
a
job.
horrible job. I thought he did an adequate job.
I'm glad to hear that.
Friend.
Okay, any changes? I will say this, I'm glad that Daniel Bouchard was changed to Danielle Bouchard. I did notice that. Any other change? Yes.
I had 2, and I'm not sure. I'd sent some edits to Andrea, and it looks like most of them made it in, but there were 2 that I kind of really want in there because it's why I voted no on the item. So let's see, on our printed copy, next to the last page. Legal counsel Genovich, am I saying that right? Genovich. Legal counsel Genovich acknowledged this concern, explained the language was based on industry standards, but could refine. I believe she said it's based on a cut and paste from the MSPC.
She actually didn't. So we went back
Okay,
and
you did
looked
look
at
back?
this. I think I made that statement and
Oh.
she actually corrected me and said, no, this is actually best practices.
Okay,
This
perfect.
is APA's language.
Okay, perfect.
So we just left in exactly what she had said.
Okay, excellent. I'm good with that. And then the, guess there's a little part of a paragraph at the bottom of that page and then go up to, so I didn't vote for it because of the definitions and the fact that, we couldn't say that current installations were necessarily grandfathered, but would review it on a case-by-case basis. Can we capture that somehow?
What section are you talking about?
So,
Oh,
same
so-
page.
But that wasn't said.
It was, because
so-
I asked that question and she said 3 times, so you'd have to review it on a case-by-case basis.
Advised reviewed on a case-by-case basis. We listened through the whole, meeting, and this is consistent with what was said. Because you sent these to us at 3 and we
Yep, yep.
actually listened to the meeting and corrected it.
Well, the
From
first one I'll give
3 to
you
4.
on, but I could be wrong on that, but definitely there was, because I insisted several times. What are we gonna do with the current installations? And the wording was definitely on a case-by-case basis.
And we couldn't find the word case by case. Do you recall saying that?
That's almost, yeah, I would say, I didn't listen to the recording, but I think that was the gist of what I said. I don't know if I used those words.
I remember being confused about that because I was like, well, how do you handle an existing situation on a case by case basis? If it's already there, it shouldn't be case by case, I wouldn't think. It's either.
Exactly.
Well, I think we're, again, I was trying to avoid making a legal opinion that's something that if somebody was watching it, they say, haha, the lawyer said mine is prior lawful non-conforming use. But I know, so that was the context. I'm not arguing. I'm saying, I remember
Yeah,
that
right.
dialogue.
And I don't know if we need to rehash what you intended by the
I'm
words, but.
reliving it. I'm
Yeah, but I think the 3 of us agreed that was the gist, so you might want to look through that again, because I would like that captured in here.
Because I think her point was, we don't want to put the number in there because if we say the number for a utility scale is 50, then somebody will come in with 49.5. I don't know that anything within the approval that happened, I don't know how to handle that. I guess you.
Yeah, I think we're speaking not to the wattage, but just kind of what the impact is on.
Yeah, this had nothing to do with wattage, you're exact. This had an impact to do on, I think what we're now calling in our new ordinance, personal solar,
Yeah, personal voltaic.
yeah. So this was
Well, and then
about
what about the
current
com-
installations.
What about current commercial stuff? I
We
mean,
didn't
but
talk
we're-
about that.
we
we
didn't
did,
talk about that.
that's something we should later.
Just trying to
Okay.
capture.
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
So I
Alright.
guess like, I mean, we got the comments at 3.
No, that's fine, that's fine.
The packet went out at, last Wednesday.
No, I get
We-
that, but that still doesn't address the issue. Can we get that into the minutes?
You can make a motion to approve the minutes with the change that you want, and the planning commission
Perfect.
can decide if that's what it wants to do.
Would you be supportive of that, Scott, since you recall that same thing?
I would support that.
Okay.
So
Can you
I make
provide
it-
some language, though?
Yeah.
Sure.
make a motion.
I make a motion to approve the minutes with the edits that were generated at 3:30 per the red line handout, with the addition of the sentence, legal counsel advised current installations, not necessarily grandfathered, but would reviewed on a case-by-case basis, to be added to the end of the paragraph, third from the bottom, on the next to the last page.
Is legal counsel okay with this?
Yes.
Then I'll support it.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Is that a nay from down there?
No.
Okay. 7-0, approved. Thank you all. And thank you for providing this marked up copy to us today with the red marks on it. That was great.
Awesome.
Boy, help.
Without this, I never would have even looked at them.
Good job.
Okay.
And we appreciate the honesty.
Okay, I'd now like to go to Article 6, acknowledge visitors and those wishing to speak, and comments are limited to 5 minutes per speaker. Nobody in the audience, anybody online? Nick? Okay, let's move on then. Article 7, public hearing has been canceled. Any background on that?
Yeah, I'll give you a
Andrea?
quick background. So we have, outside of the zoning ordinance, we have our private streets ordinance, which requires that someone that wants to split a lot or build on, I think split a lot is the exact language, needs to have that private street up to standards set in the ordinance, or there's an option for them to hold a public hearing at the planning commission and then get approval for an exemption at the board later. In doing the review for this item, we noticed it, and then I continued to do review, and I found that they had already received, that there had already been an inspection of this road, and that it meets the requirements of our ordinance, so
Good,
it
good.
was not required. They still are required to get a maintenance agreement for all property owners, and they're working on that, but that's the background, so every once in a while, things turn out, and
For the best.
yeah, hopefully will
Okay.
work out for this person.
Great. All right, let's move on to Article 8. Andrea?
So Article 8 is actually going to be Danielle running through
Oh, okay.
our zoning ordinance.
Okay, I hope you guys don't mind. I'm gonna sit over here just so I can like take notes while we're talking. So if you're having trouble hearing me or something like that, let me know. Pardon? Oh, I guess I can't hear you then.
We push the button.
You sound
You
great.
get one of those,
Okay,
Toggle, do your.
we need to get those
toggle.
plexiglass dividers out and just put Ellen in a
That's
box.
fine.
Soundproof.
I haven't come across plexiglass that can hold me yet, but. we can
just
try.
allow sound to go out when there's a vote that needs to happen and then mute it.
Did you guys toggle? Sorry,
Yep.
okay.
So you guys have received the draft articles 1 through 4 of the new zoning ordinance. So this is a completely new format, completely new way that we're kind of addressing this. So that's why you don't see a red line version in front of you, because it's just so drastically different that basically the approach that I took was to anything that's italicized is current existing language, anything that's not is new language. So just kind of note that as we move forward. Additionally, yeah,
And I would save this to the end, but I mentioned it to Andrea. When we get, there's no action tonight, so I thought this was really helpful, so thank you for that.
Mhm.
When we get closer to recommending this to the board, can we get explicit changes, right? This is what from this zoning is to this zoning. And
Mhm.
again, I'm not asking for that tonight, like, I think we're months away, but
Mhm.
it'd be, and I know a change log isn't possible, but if we could have somebody audit current zoning and then reflect it in what we're proposing, that would be super helpful.
Yeah, yeah. And that maybe might look like memo format or something
That
like that. and-
absolutely
Okay,
would make sense.
Okay.
Just something that is very specific, so.
Yeah.
okay. Then, and as we go through this too, like I'll be sure to kind of verbally note what is a big change versus something that maybe was tweaked, so forth. So one of the biggest changes that I wanted to note is we kind of took the organization of the current ordinance and sort of flipped it on its head. So you have your purpose and intent and all of that is of course in the beginning, and the intent of your ordinance is also very important. So I want to also kind of keep that in the back of our minds as we move through this to make sure that we have strong applicability, purpose and intent statements. Especially when we're talking about the sole purpose of this is to bring the master plan to life. So keeping the goals of the master plan in the back of our minds as we move through this process. The Article 1 title and legal basis. So that's basically just kind of your admin-y things that, it's very similar to what you currently have in your ordinance. Nothing really here to note, except I did include rules for construction of language that basically explains shall, may, what's submissive, what's required, all of that type of stuff. I don't necessarily, I'm just going to do a high level of Articles 1 through 3, and anyone who wants to read, as we move through this and you guys have time to read through them, please send your comments and your markup to Andrea, but I'd like to spend the bulk of our time tonight on Article 4, because that's when we get into like the actual regulations. And there's a lot of stuff that I need clarity from the Planning Commission on before moving forward. With regard to Article 4.
So do you want any questions tonight or you want it all sent to you?
With regard to Articles 1 through 3.
Any of it? Okay, sure. We'll do.
I would say questions for Article 4, save those from when we get there tonight. Let's free flow that discussion. Articles 1 through 3, I would say if you could take those and send them to Andrea directly, and then I can just mark up the draft that you send like your markup on, unless if you like legitimately are like, I'm confused about this or
Well,
need clarity.
I guess I'll just do one because this one is kind of broad. So based on the current conversation we just had, so section 1.3A interpretation
Mhm.
basically says if this new ordinance is stronger than anything that existed before, this regulates everything
Mhm.
with the words at the end on a going forward basis. Like it doesn't state that. So my question is, so is everything suddenly unlawful or is everything legally conforming?
That would fall under the conformities chapter, which is chapter 5 that you'll be getting next.
Okay, but so that'll cover it, this statement
Correct.
that says that everything's stricter.
Yep, so this basically says that anything that's not conforming with this ordinance shall be considered unlawful unless it falls under this nonconformities clause, which allows uses to continue, single family uses to continue, so forth, which will go into detail of what that means.
Thank you.
Anything else that we can answer maybe quickly that might help?
Do you want us to interrupt you if we have a question or wait till you're done?
Interrupt me, because
Okay.
I have a slideshow, so we'll go topic by topic.
Great.
And
let's
I'm
do it.
sure some of them people will care more about than others with the topics. Which is why some of them are on the presentation and some of them are not. I should note that too. Commissioner Bruno, did you have anything that you wanted to add before we move forward?
No, just a stupid question, sorry. Italics is new?
Current is your current text. Anything non-italics is new.
Thank you.
Mhm. Okay, so moving forward to Article 4. If you could advance the slide, please. Okay, so I just basically have a bulleted list here of, here are the sections that have minimal to no changes versus the sections that are either brand new or have substantial changes. I should note that keyhole development, I recognize that the township has already done a lot of work on that. So all of that text has remained the same, except I just kind of separated it out into smaller chunks for usability, basically. So that's another theme throughout this process is I took big walls of text and broke it up into different paragraphs. If you can advance the slide, please. I think we're missing, or I
You,
think,
you jumped over one. You're doing two at a time.
Yeah, two at a time.
okay.
Missed the first one too.
Yeah,
Oh.
there you go.
So general provisions overview, these are the provisions that apply to all zoning districts. So anything like with regard to, for example, keeping of bees, that would apply to all zoning districts. Yeah.
I'm so sorry. Jumping the slide, still back one slide?
We're gonna go back to everything we already passed.
Okay, I'm confused.
Well,
I just want,
This is the
This
first
is
slide.
slide number 2.
She was skipping slides,
Yeah,
right?
she
So we're
just
starting
actually
over.
skipped us.
It's okay.
Oh,
Was
okay.
You're not
Yeah,
missing
yeah.
anything.
second one.
Yeah.
Just let her proceed.
Sorry.
Yeah.
and then if anything is district specific, it'll say in general provision. So just note that too. Frequently referenced sections. So I just wanted to pull those out because a lot of this new content that we'll discuss tonight is reflective of resident inquiries that we've been getting a lot. Madison kept a pretty detailed log of different questions that she would get in and different clarifications that are needed and working with Andrea and Nick on what people are coming up with. So these three things are kind of the major topics that any resident would typically call about: fences, accessory buildings and structures, and parking commercial vehicles in residential districts. So I want to be sure that we kind of hit those in a good way.
Are we gonna break those down further?
Yes.
later?
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you. Minimal to no changes. Again, this bulleted list, I don't feel like I need to go through this at detail unless there's questions. Yeah.
Just kind of one stuck out again based on the context, accessory structures mounted on buildings, so
Mhm.
we're gonna clearly. Split the whole concept, because it sounds like historically we've been treating solar and wind as an accessory structure mounted on a building. So we're gonna explicitly state that that has moved or something.
Yeah, because the accessory structure mounted on buildings, the way that I read it, where is it? Okay, so this accessory structures customarily mounted on buildings, this is all current text, so it just says located on roofs of buildings such as chimney stacks, necessary mechanical apparatuses such as air exchange units and elevator bulkheads. So that doesn't really hit, in my opinion, the personal scale wind and solar, which we'll get to in this discussion.
I hadn't honestly read it, but I know that's what Andrea said we were currently using, so I wanted to make sure that it was a clean break.
Yep.
Thank you.
I think it skipped again. Oh, wait, maybe not, sorry. So new section content. So this is all brand new stuff that are new requirements that are designed in Article 4. The first of which is accessory dwelling units. We will get to that, so please hold. Keeping of bees, keeping of chickens, boat houses and boat garages. I remember Brian Hilbrands even bringing that up to me a long time ago, that there needed to be some requirements about that. So we'll talk through those and go through that draft and see what you guys think. Residential driveways has been kind of another pressure point in the township, at least in my observations as of late, and me just being there, questions people have and so forth. Yeah.
Your next one, flag lots.
Mm-hmm.
When I was looking at the definitions for lots, I didn't see flag lots in the definitions list. What is a flag lot?
There's a slide on it.
Okay.
So a flag lot basically is where you have a narrow frontage and it kind of goes one direction and then it gets wider
Gotcha.
and creates like a
Okay.
flag
That
hugging
makes
another
sense.
property.
That makes sense. Okay.
Which is also a really good discussion that we should talk about tonight, because we'll get there.
Okay.
There's a lot in the township, but a lot
I
of
didn't
places
see it in
don't
the
allow them.
definitions list that you
Yeah.
had with the other lots, through lots, corner lots. You know, I didn't see a
think it's-
definition there for flag lots, and so that's why I was asking.
Okay, thank
'Cause
you.
I feel that it should be defined as the others are.
I've got flag lots as draft section 4.21.e, but that might have been Cause I've been tweaking this, so
Yeah,
it's
cause I didn't
it's
see it in the
possible.
packet that was emailed last week, but.
Okay, we'll go through it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Land divisions, lot splits, we should talk about that. Patios, porches, pergolas and decks, those are questions that very commonly come up through resident calls. And then sidewalks. And then new section content continued, includes personal scale solar, which a lot of this is hit on Creo, so I just kind of put a reserved as we talk through what that looks like. Personal scale wind, we'll talk through what that looks like. Single family residential design standards, sports courts, so tennis, basketball, things like that. Commercial vehicle storage, temporary buildings and trash removal, collection and dumpsters. So that's all, again, brand new content that your ordinance currently does not have. So notable changes to existing content in the zoning ordinance. Could you advance this slide, please? No, it's okay. Okay, this one will probably be a pretty good discussion here because this is one of the biggest topics that we have.
I love
Um,
this.
Yeah.
Pardon?
I said I love this.
Oh,
because
good.
Finally, I think Ryan, since he got here, has complained about every meeting about without fail.
If you look back through Madison's great logs, we spend 90% of our time
Yeah,
saying that the successor building will look beautiful. What that has to do with anything, I don't know, and we approve it, so. it'll be
You're-
nice to-
My concern is that on a less than 1 acre lot, we have a 5 foot setback. We don't currently allow a setback that small,
mm-mm.
so I don't think we should be even
Put that-
drafting.
Yeah. put that
drafting it
aside. I
that
just
way.
like the idea that we have guidelines. We have guidelines so that they're not showing up here, which I think is what you were.
No, I'm fine with guidelines. I
We can
would like
tweak
to
the
tweak.
guidelines.
I would like. to
Yeah,
tweak
by all
them.
means.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll make a note there then that we're feeling like maybe 5 feet is a little too close.
I think 10 feet's too big, though.
We
That's just me.
did what?
What?
7.
This is,
7 or 8, yeah. You see where I'm going with this?
Yeah. So like 5.5 feet, it's okay?
Oh, somewhere between 10 and 5.
The 5.5 is between 10 and 5.
I think 10 foot is
7.25.
I like 10.
How about 8?
okay.
We get to 8.5.
Hearing
British
10,
units, I want like 6 and 5/8.
I think somebody needs to go to his
Well,
house
how
with a
about-
tape measure.
How about 2 meters?
Okay,
oh,
are we seriously critiquing this line, or are we?
No, if he doesn't like 5 feet, I don't love 10 feet, so I was being serious.
If it's an 8.
More important than that, I think we just went from. We went from
It's an acre, you get the space for 5.
832 was the limit, and you got 1 for up to how many acres? 6, is that right?
I'm sorry.
What's our current ordinance?
Wow.
It's been more of,
832.
832, but you're allowed 1 for up to.
1 acre.
I thought it was 3 acres and less
Yeah.
is 1,
Okay.
over 3 acres is 2, if I'm not mistaken.
That sounds correct. So I'm really surprised that we went from 3 acres or less 1 at 832 to 2 at 1664.
but we would approve them.
Where are
on
you
a-
seeing the sizes? I don't see
Next-
that on this
next
chart.
slide. It's on the
Well,
next.
she's not showing that yet. I'm only looking at this.
But you got
Um,
both the 2 together because
but-
2 at.
Right, but we would generally allow it if it came here. I like that it's
Yeah.
whatever we end up with.
I don't like the square footages.
But we don't have the square footage on our screen.
Right, I like what's on our screen, other than the setback. That's where I'm at. I'm not talking about sizes yet.
She just skipped past it.
Like the quantity of lots, the quantity of buildings are good with that too. It's a big swing from where we were.
Look at the averages.
We could say 1 to 3 and try to be more consistent with where we were. I don't know that we need to change where we were, frankly.
I would agree with that statement, thank you.
Okay,
But-
But they were coming here, so we weren't
Right.
there. Like,
Exactly.
that-
Well, they
it'd
were
be
coming
different.
here for bigger sizes, not necessarily for more.
But they would come here for 2, like, look. Yeah, look at the averages.
I'm gonna go back, not on the size, but on the number, so that we can compare. Less than 1 acre. Where's the number?
It's 832.
Here, so we're talking about the number, right?
Mhm.
Is that what you guys are talking about right now? So right now in the zoning ordinance. What happened? I moved
Think
So
they just
right
said-
now, it's one for up to 3 acres.
Right.
And the change, obviously. And then.
And is the height right on this with that setback? With 18
height-
feet, 10 feet off? I thought you had to be more than 10 feet off to be 18
You
feet.
do, and we found that that was actually onerous, so it is changed. So
Okay.
up to 3 acres, you get 1, 3 to 6 acres, you get 2, 6 plus acres, you get 3. Just so you can see the difference. And I guess we kind of want some consensus on how you.
Which
guys
Ryan
feel
is why people are going with bigger, right? If they can only have one.
That needs to be
They're
bigger.
gonna get a bigger one.
You bet.
Right.
Which makes sense.
But it's
We've got an
sense.
acre and a
That's why-
half. I want
So
to
I
have
agree
two
exactly with your
sheds.
statements.
Yeah.
I think like the 1 for less than 3, 2 for 3 or more, with the bigger scratches the itch. It seems like we're doubling on 2 axes, so we're getting a multiple to get of a 4. We're getting 2 squared rather than 2.
Yeah, I don't know if I like having more, you know, 1 for less than 1, if you 1 acre and 2, you get 2, between 2 and 6. I think
My,
it just-
my concern is that, not to draw this out, but 1 acre but less than 2 up to 18 feet, 10 feet off the line seems a
Yeah,
bit
that's a
tall to
little
me.
tight for that
I
height.
think the height on that should probably still be 14.
I'm fine with the height. I like 2. I can't
You
tell you how.
find that if it was near neighbors.
Well, no, I'm fine with going to the 14. I'm fine with
Okay,
what
okay,
you're
all right.
proposing.
So I'll use my home and property as an example.
Yeah.
I have a rather modest home and rather modest piece of property. So I have about 1.75 acres.
Yep.
I have a 17 some change square foot walkout ranch, so
Yep.
33,000 square foot finished.
Yep.
But I could now build 2 accessory buildings that are almost the exact same footprint as my house. I could build 3, so my lot would go from 1 home with a, well, I don't have any accessory buildings currently, but I'd probably have a shed, to essentially 3 of my homes sitting on my property.
I like the multiples, the square footage I can be talked down on, right? And say, hey, for 1 to 2 acres, you can have up to 2 and you can have up to 1,000 square feet combined or something like that, right?
Okay.
I drive through this township, I see so many places where there are 2 sheds, the small sheds, the she shed type of stuff, right? But like,
I would be amenable to that.
Yeah.
My own point is that we've got a factor of 4 and it's humongous, and I think we're missing the fallout of all of that.
I feel like it would ruin the character of your lot, given all the woods that you have, and I think that would be bad.
Would ruin the character, and the person downstream from me.
Yeah.
Would be floating away.
Well, if I may also, accessory structures need to comply with maximum lot coverage requirements as well. So really you couldn't do that because we would say, no, you only can have up to 30% of your lot can be covered by structures. So there are balances put in place that would help mitigate from people doing that. I'm not saying that all these numbers are correct, but what I am saying is that you wouldn't then say, oh, I can now have 2 structures with a total of 1,600 square feet combined. Also note that too. So that would be 2 structures of 832 square feet, not 2 structures of 1,600 plus square feet.
So with that in mind, did anybody do like a mathematical model? Is any of this even feasible? Like what you just said, I'm almost at the 2 acres, and if I can't do this, then could anybody? Are we creating something that's not even achievable anywhere?
Well, I think that's a function of what your house size is, right?
Oh, clearly it is.
Well, you could still come in and get an exception, a special use permit, right? You could, if you're at 2.
No.
No.
just say no.
It's
You could
hard.
apply for a variance, but it would be a tough sell.
So-
We're getting rid of special land uses for accessory structures altogether. So it will not come to your desk anymore.
I have a general question.
Question.
Oh, go ahead first.
So what we have has been,
You pull your mic down.
what we have has been pretty
You pull a little
useful.
closer.
A little further away.
But everybody's coming in for a little more than 832 square feet, so on like less than a 20,000 square foot lot, maybe you go up to 1,000 square foot. Cause that's residential homes right now, that's just a little bigger than a 2-stall garage, really a 3-stall garage maybe. If you wanna bring it up, maybe anything over the 1 acre, bring it up to 1,400 square foot, and then have them come in if they want something different, but you can't be 5 feet from a lot line. You can't have 20-foot midpoints.
Okay.
Just take what we have and just tweak it a little bit.
Well,
Don't
that's why I was saying
rewrite the whole
1,000.
thing.
What do you think of 1,000 for 1 to 2 acres?
I'm okay with it. Well, I'm okay with 1,000 for a standard residential lot.
I'm fine with it too.
That's basically a little more than a
I would say
3-star
1,000 and
garage.
maybe 1,200 for 1 to 2 acres, and like, I just like the idea of 1 to 2 acres, because that's a lot of our lots to have two small things, right? Because I think it's non-conforming and happening anyway.
But are you saying 1 to 2 acres, or are you saying
1 to 2.
0 to 2? So if they have a 0.8 acre lot, does that fall in that?
No, I'm saying I would have two categories, 0 to 1 and
Okay.
1 to 2, because I think they are different,
Okay.
absolutely. But I think we're saying the same.
Yeah,
thing.
a 3-star garage for everybody, but
Yeah,
What's is that 800 square feet? It's three-stall garages?
yeah, it's
Or
a
is it
little
more?
small for a 3-star
Yeah,
garage, but you could
tight.
do 1,000 square foot and hit nice.
So then what would you say, 0 to 1 be 1,000?
then
1 to 2 would be, or would you just say 1 to 3?
I'd be fine 1 to 3.
1 to 3 would be
I'd
1,500. I'm just saying as a
prefer
number.
that. I'd like to keep some.
No, I like
Our
that.
North
I
Star
just,
per ordinance somewhat, so 1 to 3 would be good.
I'm just thinking of the
Yeah.
over acre lots we have in the township. There's a
Yep.
lot of them. I want to give them the ability to have them. That's
I agree.
That's correct.
So that if they had if they had 3 acres or more, could they have more than one accessory building that equaled 1,500?
What does it say currently for over 3 acres?
Over 3
Isn't it?
acres is 2.
2 accessory buildings,
There
okay?
you go.
So 2 accessory buildings that could equal 2,000, or what, I mean, I'm just using a number here, but 1,000, 1,500, 2,000.
Support.
Did we change the previous cutoff at 3 acres down to 2 now?
So it's 0 to 1
0
acre
to 1.
is 1,000, you can have
1 to
1,000
3.
square feet.
One and a thousand.
One is one accessory building and up to 1,000 square feet. From 1 acre to 3 acres, you can have one building,
Two accessory buildings, 1 to 3.
At
is
1,000
two.
each.
no, that was 3 or more,
No, I'm saying 1 to 3, I'd have 2 accessory buildings.
up to 1,500.
Yeah.
All right, 3 or more, you can have
Up to
2 accessory
1,500,
buildings up to 2,000.
1,500 total, not
Total.
1,500 each.
Total.
Right, so 750 each, or however you want to slice it up.
Okay, and then 3 or more was what?
3 or more would be 2 accessory buildings that equal 2,000.
Like you could have an exterior garage and then you could have a shed on another part of the property. And that's kind of like what I'm thinking.
I like exactly what you just came up. It's close to what we have and it's close to what we've been seeing. This seems.
But it would go back to 1 to 3 acres, not the 1 to 2.
0 to
2
1.
6.
Yeah.
3
0
would
to
be the
1.
number again.
3 would be the.
1 to 3.
Yeah,
3
yeah.
more.
Yeah.
But here, Timmy,
Well,
here's the thing about the height. What if somebody's got an acre lot or just under an acre and they have an RV? I mean, that's what they're building a higher peak for, is to get the RV in there.
It's the midpoint. It's like it was in the old ordinance.
so
It's the same. It's
okay.
14 foot to the midpoint. You can fit an RV in there.
Can you? Okay.
Well, yeah, you can't drive an RV down the road if it's over 12.5 feet high. 13 or 13, what is it?
13.6.
13.6.
Yeah.
So if it'll clear that.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm understanding correctly, the threshold was changed from 0 to 1, 1 to 3, 3 plus. Am I
0 to
hearing?
1,
1,000 square. foot.
1 to 3, and
Got
3
it.
plus.
Got it.
0 to 1, 1 building, 1,000 square feet.
Okay.
But I think you gotta get rid of the 18, 22, and 24 midpoints.
Do we still want a 3 to 6 section though? Cause 3
Yes.
plus, there's a big difference between a 3.1 acre lot and like a 30 acre lot.
Well, if you have more than 3 acres, you get 2 accessory buildings that can equal up to 2,000 square feet. Or you can have one building that's 2,000 square feet, or you can have one that's 14 and
Can we
6.
deal with the lot sizes, the heights and setbacks first?
Sure.
And then on the next slide,
Yeah.
deal with the square footages?
Yeah, there we go, thank you. May I clarify one point when you're thinking about this? Right now, our ordinance allows for 1 accessory building for up to 3 lots. Plus,
Up to 3.
up to 3 acres, I'm sorry,
Thank you.
plus an attached or detached private garage.
Correct.
So when you're thinking about whether that's appropriate or not,
Yeah.
keep that in mind.
That's exactly, what I'm thinking is somebody wants to build a garage for a couple of cars, or they want to build it for a boat or a jet ski or an RV. That's what I'm thinking.
Okay.
That's
Right,
what I-
but currently, if you don't, like, for instance, I don't have an attached garage,
Yeah.
I have a detached garage.
But that
So
doesn't, in my
currently-
opinion, that wouldn't count. as-
Right, but currently the way the ordinance says, I could go in and ask for an accessory building.
Yeah.
Because my detached garage doesn't count.
And I would
Because
say
I don't have
that's-
an attached.
And I would
garage.
agree with that. If you have a
Correct.
detached garage, that doesn't count as accessory building.
I removed all 3 accessory buildings from my property though, so I would be in compliance.
That's just big.
Way to go, Scott.
Somebody complained.
Did Andrew give you gold star?
No, somebody else did.
Sticker. you can start passing
It
out
was, it
stickers.
was before her. He lost the note.
I know.
Brian?
I've heard Timmy say it, and I think I've heard you say it, and I've heard Scott say it. What do we have now? Is there, it seems like we're making
Yeah, that's
big
the-
step functions of changes. Is there a more
That's-
minimal where we're only changing things that have been like?
We
It seems
need-
like the nuisance to us has been people wanting more square footage, not higher roofs,
But
not
can
more.
I challenge that slightly?
Okay,
The biggest nuisance is the fact that we have to come here for meetings to learn about and talk about accessory buildings. Do we all agree with that?
I would agree with that. It's an abstraction, but
Yeah, and so.
I think it's the best part of the job.
I don't really have anything else going on Monday, so. it's kind of-
No, but like I would rather do more strategic things in these meetings and
I
so.
completely agree. That's why it's always bugged me, but I guess let me rephrase it differently. I'm surprised we're having a discussion about changing maximum height to midpoint to roof. When I didn't know that was an issue currently.
Well, that's just it. I don't think it is, but the problem is without a change log, I don't know. And that's what concerns me when I see on a 1.5 acre lot, 10 foot from the side yard, my neighbor could build a roof that to the peak is probably 20 some feet high. That concerns me.
Guys, we're giving her feedback. Why don't we let her go research this and come back to us? We know, she knows how we're
No,
doing.
I
like, we're not-
understand, but it's
Yeah.
hard to give the feedback when I can't compare it to what
Sure.
we currently have.
But
That's what I'm trying to say.
Right, and I think the feedback is go look at what we currently have and come back to us.
Sure, I'm good with that.
I guess what I'm saying is I think the change table needs to be
Yeah,
with this process in order to make this process as fruitful as it can be.
Like, so we're rewriting the whole thing right here.
Exactly, but we're doing it almost
Blind.
blindly,
Blind.
and I don't wanna make a massive change that we didn't intend to make because we're not.
It's a good idea.
So
Thank you.
the building height is consistent with your current ordinance, more or less, with the exception of the, so as bigger as you get with your special land use permit, it requires up to a 60-foot side, 60-foot side yard and rear yard setback. That was understandably
Okay.
reduced.
So I think.
And you
make
can
the
go up to
setback-
22 feet measured from height to midpoint of roof.
You make
So
the
bef-
setbacks and the midpoints coincide with the, how many accessory buildings per acre and what size you can do. So you,
Before, it didn't matter how big the lot size was. You could technically, if you had enough setback, you could have come in and said, I want it to be 22 feet tall.
That's correct.
Yes.
But you would have had to have 60 feet from the rear lot line.
Mhm.
And that,
if you had a
I
flag.
guess if the intent of that was to zone out the possibility to do that, then you've effectively done it because our minimum lot width is 110 feet. And if you require 60 feet from both side yard, you can't do it, right?
I mean, I think what I would say is, I'm sorry, I think I
No,
interrupted.
I think
I
a lot
just
more
wanted to
people are
make
gonna
sure
come in
that
for
was
accessory
clear.
buildings. though.
I'm just feeling like if you have a lot that's 6 acres or more in size. I mean, okay, like, I don't know, I just feel like that's a big enough lot to where it's like, if somebody were to have up to 22 or 24 feet.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with you,
I don't think that
Danielle.
that really makes a
But
difference.
my concern is that there are a lot of people in the township who probably looked at the rules for an accessory building before. And their lot didn't fit the criteria of what they wanted
Hmm.
with these larger setbacks. And now if we're proposing smaller setbacks, is that going to be an influx of people that are gonna go build buildings? I know of 2 people that don't have buildings because they weren't allowed in the previous context.
Mhm.
But in this context, they'll be building a building.
so I think what you do is you do this
4-foot roof.
0 to 1 acre. 0 to 1 acre, 10-foot setbacks, side and back, 14-foot midpoint. If you, from 1 to 3, you go, maybe 15-foot setbacks. 18-inch. More than 3,
18 feet.
18 feet, excuse me, more than 3. You do, what was that, 20, I do 25 feet, more than 3 acres, 25 feet. And you get a 22-foot.
Ryan?
I'm gonna try it. I think I've failed 3 times. I'm gonna go for number 4. I've technically struck out. Let me try this a different way. I think a reasonable goal would be to make through our changes, to minimize the number of properties that are now legally non-conforming.
What is?
Why are we
Why
changing?
is that
all
a
the
basis,
steps?
but why is that a
Would-
basis to make a decision? So
It's already done.
can I,
But I'm
This
asking
is-
why,
this is-
why are we changing?
but
things?
this is meant to be an iterative process, no?
Okay,
Like this, when you come back to us again, is that gonna be the final time or is that just going to be, hey, this is what I saw? It is iterative, correct?
It's a draft. Yep, we're
So,
working together.
In point of fact, are we not giving you lots of feedback to which you can then go back and bring us something? Maybe spend some one-on-one time with Ryan and then bring it back to us.
I don't have any, no, I'm the opposite. I don't have any expertise. I'm wondering why. I guess I pay onus to who came before me and came up with these dimensions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember Roland sit down in the end and say 15 feet. I'm like, I don't know. I mean, he
Well,
might
here's-
have a good reason for 15. To
here's-
me,
here's-
it's just throwing a dart.
Here's my reason for it,
Yeah.
right? Here's my reason for it, right? With a 10-foot if you got a 0 to 1 acre lot,
Okay.
10-foot setback, right?
Okay.
Now you've got to go, well, shoot, to meet the 10-foot setback, I can't build, I have a smaller lot, to meet the 10-foot setback, I can't build 1,000 square feet because I won't meet the setback. So now I've got to build a 700 square foot to meet the setback. Well, guess what? You've now scaled that accessory building to more appropriately fit the size of the lot.
But that happens through maximum lot coverage. So I think I see what you're trying to do, but I don't think you're using the right tool to get there, and when we administer it, I think that it will hurt the process. Because each lot is unique and
But here's the thing, as a neighbor, the last thing I want is, and I have had this happen. Where my new neighbor, and I like him, but he moved his driveway right to the property line because he wanted to have a big sweeping drive. right?
I'm sorry, I interrupted.
So that's okay. My point is, I don't want to have somebody building a accessory building 5 feet from my property line. That's a little much.
Beyond that.
So I think that to
And
remedy
7
what
feet
you're
doesn't really
talking
make a
about-
difference, right?
Remember what
7.5.
you're talking about
That's fine.
towards a nuisance towards that neighbor, what we would do is count driveways towards the minimum acreage or
Yeah.
the minimum lot coverage. And then increase what's allowed for lot coverage, and that actually helps us with impervious surface and groundwater runoff as well. And then we put a setback on driveways that doesn't exist right now.
But I mean, I think we
Now-
should have a big setback on accessory buildings too, because